Teach your children to report any uncomfortable situations. Silence enables abuse, and keeping secrets could be dangerous, but speaking up could save a life. Many years ago, in a distant village of Inkwo, lived a woman called Mama Uju. She lived peacefully in the community with her 3 children. One fateful morning, Mama Uju wiped her hands on her apron as she prepared to leave for the market. Her 3 children, 10-year-old Uju, 6-year-old Adan, and little Chisum, were playing in the yard. Uju, make sure you look after your sisters, she said. Yes, Mama, Uju replied cheerfully. Mama Uju glanced at Ebuka, their teenage neighbor, who had become like family. At 16, he often helped with chores and played with the children. He was well-mannered and respectful, and she had no reason to doubt him. Ebuka, I'll be back soon. Keep an eye on them. Yes, Ma, Ebuka nodded with a smile. As soon as Mama Uju left, Ebuka turned to the children. Let's play a new game today. Follow me inside, he said, leading them into the house. Inside, Ebuka locked the door. We are going to play secret friends. But you must never tell anyone, or Mama will be very angry, he whispered. Adan's innocent eyes sparkled with curiosity. What's that? You'll see, Ebuka said, his voice suddenly strange. He led him to a corner and told Uju to sit still. Then, to her horror, he took Adan aside and whispered something in her ear. Adan hesitated, but when Ebuka grabbed her wrist tightly, she whimpered. Shush! You don't want to wake the baby, do you? He hissed. Uju's heart pounded as she watched, her mind struggling to understand why Ebuka was acting this way. But when Adan started crying, she knew something was terribly wrong. Stop. You're hurting her, Uju screamed. But Ebuka only pressed his hand over Adan's mouth. When Mama Uju returned, the children were quiet, too quiet. Uju, Adan, come help me carry the food inside, she called. Yes, Mama, Uju answered, her voice weak. As the days passed, Mama Uju noticed changes in Adan. She barely spoke, avoided eye contact, and would flinch whenever Ebuka came close. One night, as Mama Uju tucked them into bed, Adan burst into tears. Mama, she whispered, her little body shaking. Ebuka, he did something bad to me. Mama Uju felt her breath leave her body. What do you mean, my child? Tears streamed down Adan's face as she stuttered, he made me take off my clothes. He touched me. The room spun. Mama Uju clutched her daughter, her heart pounding like a war drum. She turned to Uju, who was now crying too. Mama, he said if we told you, he would hurt us. A deep, raw scream rose from Mama Uju's throat. The next morning, she stormed to Ebuka's house. His mother gasped in shock, but when Mama Uju demanded answers, Ebuka denied everything. I don't know what she's talking about, he said, feigning innocence. But Mama Uju wasn't fooled. She reported the case to the village elders and then took her daughters to the hospital, where medical tests confirmed their worst fear, Adan had been violated. Ebuka was arrested, but the damage was done. Adan suffered nightmares. She no longer played like before. The light in her eyes had dimmed. Mama Uju held Adan close, whispering, no one will ever hurt you again, my child. Meanwhile, one evening, Mama Uju sat on the wooden bench outside their small house, fanning herself with a piece of folded newspaper. The evening breeze carried the scent of roasted corn from a nearby stall. Uju and her younger sister, Adan, sat cross-legged on the floor, their eyes fixed on their mother's serious expression. My daughters, Mama Uju began, there is nothing more dangerous than hiding things from your mother. A child who keeps secrets from her parents is like a hen wandering in the forest at night, easy prey for wild animals. The two girls exchanged glances. Mama hardly spoke without reason. Something was on her mind. I will tell you a story, she continued. There was once a girl in this village called Ogeneuwa. She was bright, full of life, and had big dreams of becoming a medical doctor. One day, she met a woman who claimed to be a trader and promised to take her to a better school in the city. Ogeneuwa was excited but afraid to tell her mother. She feared her mother would say no. So, she kept quiet. When the woman came back the next week, Ogeneuwa followed her. That was the last time anyone saw her for months. Edan gasped. What happened to her? Mama Uju sighed. The woman was no trader. She was a trafficker. She took Ogeneuwa to a strange town, forced her to work without pay, and locked her up every night. Ogeneuwa tried to run away but got caught. It was only after a kind neighbor noticed her distress and reported it that she was rescued. She nearly lost her life. If only she had told her mother from the beginning. Uju shuddered. That's so scary. Mama Uju nodded. And then there was Amara. She was only 15. One evening, as she walked home from the stream, a man she trusted, her uncle's friend, offered to help carry her water pot. He told her he needed help inside his house just for a minute. Edan held her breath. Amara followed him. But that man had evil in his heart. He forced himself on her. She cried and begged, but he was stronger. When he was done, he threatened her, "Tell no one, or you will die." Amara was terrified. She kept quiet. She tried to pretend nothing had happened. But a few months later, she started feeling sick. Her mother noticed her changes. She refused food, vomited often, and always looked tired. One day, her mother confronted her, and she broke down in tears. She was pregnant. Edan's hand covered her mouth in shock. Mama Uju's voice was heavy with emotion. Her mother wept. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. But it was too late. That man had disappeared, and Amara's life was never the same. She was just a child, but she had to become a mother. A long silence followed. Even the crickets outside seemed to quiet down. "Now tell me," Mama Uju said, looking deeply into her daughter's eyes, "if anything happens to you, will you keep quiet?" Edan and Uju shook their heads vigorously. "Never, Mama." "Good," Mama Uju said. "As long as I live, you must promise me one thing. Never hide anything from me, no matter how small. Whether it's a kind stranger, an unusual gift, or an invitation somewhere, you must tell me." "We promise," Edan and Uju said in unison. The youngest brother, Chisum, ran into the compound just then, laughing as he chased a butterfly. Mama Uju smiled and pulled him close. "This promise is for all of you. Speak up, and you will always be safe." A week later, Uju faced her first test. A new teacher at school, Mr. Jide, had called her aside after class. He smiled kindly and said, "You're a bright girl, Uju. I can help you with your studies privately if you like." His voice was smooth, his eyes gentle. But something in her heart whispered, "Tell Mama." That evening, she told her mother about the conversation. Mama Uju's face darkened. "You did well, my daughter," she said. "Some men pretend to be kind only to take advantage of innocent girls. Tomorrow, I will go with you to school and inform the headmistress." True to her word, Mama Uju accompanied Uju to school the next day. After the headmistress confronted Mr. Jide, he resigned abruptly. Uju shivered at the thought of what could have happened if she had kept silent. One evening, Edan ran home, breathless. "Mama, Mama, a man tried to grab me near the market." Mama Uju sprang up. "Who? What happened?" "I don't know him," Edan panted. "He just walked up to me and said, 'Your mother sent me to pick you up.' But I remembered your words and ran." Tears welled up in Mama Uju's eyes. She hugged Edan tightly. You did the right thing, my child. Never trust a stranger's words without confirmation. That night, Mama Ruju reported the incident to the village elders. Other children had also mentioned strange men lurking around. Thanks to Adan's quick thinking, the community took action, and soon, the men were caught. From that day forward, Mama Ruju noticed something special. Adan, Uju, and Chisum came to her with everything, big or small. Whether it was a new friend at school, a strange man in the neighborhood, or even a classmate who stole a pen, they always told her. One evening, as they sat around the fire roasting plantains, Adan turned to her mother and said, "Mama, thank you for teaching us this. I feel safe knowing I can always talk to you." Mama Ruju's heart swelled with pride. That is how it should be. A mother is the safest place for her children. Word spread in the village about Mama Ruju's wisdom. Other mothers gathered their children and shared similar warnings. More and more children began speaking up, and the village became safer. One day, Adan overheard her friend, Chinyere, whispering to another girl about a strange man offering her sweets. Adan's heart pounded. "I must tell Mama." She did. And once again, the village elders took action. That night, as Adan lay in bed, she smiled, knowing that secrets could be dangerous, but speaking up could save a life. Mama Ruju gathered the women of the village. "We must protect our daughters," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "Not every boy is a brother. Not every neighbor is family." Tears rolled down the faces of other mothers as they listened. That day, a new rule was made. No girl would be left in the care of a boy who wasn't her blood brother. Not every friendly boy is safe. Always supervise who interacts with your children. Silence enables abuse. Teach your children to report any uncomfortable situations. Be observant. Changes in behavior could be signs of trauma. Educate your daughters and sons about good and bad touches. Moral lessons for children. No secret games. If someone tells you to keep a bad secret, tell a trusted adult. Say no loudly if someone tries to touch you inappropriately. Never be afraid to tell your parents the truth. They will always protect you. The end. Thanks for watching. Please like and share your opinion in the comments. Remember to subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories. God bless you abundantly. Bye bye.